So, out on the streets of Philadelphia, the drug crisis has just taken this really terrifying new turn. Today, we're going to break down what's going on with this powerful new compound that's showing up. And at the same time, we're going to look at this controversial, kind of groundbreaking vaccine that could change everything, but for a much more familiar threat.
Just listen to this quote from a resident there named Christine. "You don't even know you're passing out." Wow. I mean, that really gets to the heart of this new danger, doesn't it? This isn't some slow drift into a high. We're talking about an immediate, totally disorienting loss of consciousness. It just highlights a whole new level of unpredictability and risk that is, frankly, terrifying.
Okay, so our focus here starts on Kensington Avenue. Now, if you know anything about this, you know it's one of the country's most notorious open-air drug markets. And look, the situation there was already dire. I mean, you had heroin, you had fentanyl, and that animal tranquilizer, xylazine, tranq. But now, things have escalated because of a new drug that's producing effects, well, effects unlike anything anyone has seen before. And look, we're not just talking about people nodding off here. The scene being described is, well, it's truly disturbing. You've got people shuffling around in these near-catatonic states. Some are literally bent over at right angles. Others are just frozen mid-stride. It's such a shocking image that some people have started calling the area Zombieland. So what's causing all this? Well, health officials and first responders, they've identified a new synthetic compound. It's called Metatomidine, and it's what's responsible for this wave of extreme sedation and what the users themselves are calling brutal crashes. Yeah, and according to the people who are actually using it, there are no stages to this high. It's not a gradual thing. One moment you're using it, and the very next, you're waking up incredibly sick. It just causes this profound sedation that is way more powerful and immediate than anything else on the street. And to put its power into perspective, just think about this number for a second. Experts are estimating that Metatomidine is a staggering 100 times more powerful than xylazine or tranq. 100 times. That kind of leap in potency, I mean, it represents a massive, massive danger. But the crucial difference between this and fentanyl, well, it's literally a life or death distinction. See, fentanyl primarily stops a person's breathing. Metatomidine, on the other hand, causes that extreme sedation and it dangerously lowers heart rate and blood pressure. And this is the biggest problem. Narcan, the life-saving drug that reverses fentanyl overdoses, it has absolutely no effect on metatomidine. None. So first responders are now facing a threat they have no antidote for. But just as this terrifying new crisis is emerging, there's this really fascinating development in the fight against an older one. So while science is racing to catch up with metatomidine, there's this whole other biotech effort working on a potential game changer for the fentanyl epidemic. And get this, it's a vaccine. Now, I know, a vaccine for a drug sounds like science fiction, but this isn't some fringe idea. This is serious research. It's a major collaboration between the University of Houston and Tulane University, and they're hoping to start testing soon. The ultimate goal here? To prevent overdose deaths from fentanyl. Period. So how could a vaccine possibly work against a drug? I mean, it sounds kind of crazy, right? Well, the approach is really innovative. What it does is it primes your own immune system to recognize fentanyl and then neutralize it before it can ever do any harm. All right, let's walk through how this actually works. First, the vaccine basically shows your immune system a mugshot of the fentanyl molecule. It says, hey, this is the bad guy. Your body then responds by creating these really specific antibodies to go hunt for it. So then, if you're ever exposed to fentanyl, those antibodies jump in, they intercept it, and they destroy the molecules before they can reach your brain. And the result of all that, the euphoric high that drives addiction is completely blocked. And if there's no high, well, there's no overdose. Now, as you can probably imagine, a technology this powerful was bound to raise some really serious questions. You see, unlike Narcan, which you use after an overdose has started, this vaccine is preemptive. You take it before anything happens. And that one simple fact opens up a really complex and, honestly, unsettling debate. And this is really the core of it all. If you take away the risk of a fatal overdose, does that create a false sense of security? I mean, could it actually encourage people to try dangerous drugs that they otherwise would have been too scared to touch? So let's look at the two perspectives. On the one hand, the argument for the vaccine is pretty powerful. It could prevent all those accidental deaths from drugs that are unknowingly laced with fentanyl. Plus, by blocking the high, it could be a massive tool for breaking the cycle of addiction. But on the other hand, critics are worried. They think it could be seen as a safety net, which might encourage more risk-taking. And it raises this really fundamental ethical question. Should we intervene medically before a problem even starts, or should we only treat it once it happens? And there are other complexities to think about too. For instance, fentanyl is actually a critical, necessary drug for pain management in hospitals. So widespread vaccination could cause some really serious complications in a medical setting. We also have to remember that this crisis isn't just happening in big cities. It's in the suburbs, it's in rural towns, and in all those places, laced drugs are making accidental exposure a growing risk for literally everyone. Okay, so for people who might be a little wary of a preemptive vaccine, the researchers are actually working on another option. It's a direct injection of pre-made antibodies. So this would offer temporary protection, but without permanently changing your immune system's response. It's kind of similar to those antibody treatments that were used for COVID-19. And all of this brings us back to our final and maybe most critical question. Right now, we have a brand new threat, Metatomidine, for which there is no antidote, and it's emerging at the exact same time that science is developing a revolutionary vaccine for an older threat, fentanyl. It just puts this entire crisis into such sharp focus, It's this constant high-stakes race, and it really leaves you wondering, can new technology, can scientific innovation ever truly outpace a drug crisis that is constantly evolving this quickly and this dangerously?